While spring break and summer travelers are highly discouraged from going to typical locales these days like Mexico, our travel expert Jeanenne Tornatore is back with great alternatives that are safe and educational. Good to have you back.
Great to be here.
So educational destinations, it's a lot more fun than the word one would perceive the word to mean.
Yes, and here's the thing is I don't think people typically think about planning their vacation around these educational experiences, but even places that you may already be going, it's so easy to add some educational twists into your experiences while you're on vacation, even to some of these top spring and summer destinations.
Such as Hawaii.
Yes, Hawaii, it's actually the #5 book destination for spring travelers. So a lot of people going to places like Oahu and Honolulu. And of course, most people think beach, sun and sand, but there are really cool educational opportunities that people and the kids won't feel like they're, are educational. Things like, of course, Pearl Harbor. You have the USS Arizona Memorial, where you can take really great tours of. So many really interesting things to learn there. Also, I love the Polynesian Cultural Center in Oahu. This is such a great way to spend a couple of hours and really get immersed and understand so much about the local Polynesian culture, which is such a big part of being on an island like Oahu.
Which is still very much alive as well.
Exactly. It certainly is. I mean, you go to luau's and you can experience that as well.
Yes.
And then you also have fun places like the Dole Pineapple Plantation, which is a really cool working farm to visit, a really fun experience, unlike anything else, and you get really great samples there as well, so fun tastings. And then, of course, there's so many great nature preserves here, and instead of going out on those alone with your hikes, go on some ranger-led tours, because this is really where you learn about the local ecosystem, which is really, really fascinating in a place like Hawaii.
Most definitely, but if you want to stay within the contiguous United States, Nashville, a great place to go.
Nashville is also a top destination for spring and summer travel. It's on TripAdvisor's list for this spring. And there are so many cool things to do in Nashville beyond the music and beyond the food that really help you understand what's so great about this city. One of my favorites is the Nashville Parthenon. And this is a full-size replica of the Parthenon. And there's some really cool exhibits here. I highly recommend that for families. You also have places like the Grand Ole Opry where you can take backstage tours. And that's a really fun way to get immersed in the history of a place like that and who has performed there and what that's all about.
That's right.
Old Town trolley tours are a great way to experience the history of the city. And then you have places like the Lots House Civil War Museum. You have the historic RCA Studio B, the Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum. There are fantastic tours to take of all of these places in Nashville.
Yeah, RCA Studio B, where Elvis, Dolly Parton, and the likes got their start. Just incredible history of music there. All right, let's move on to New Orleans, Louisiana. Now, New Orleans can be a little dicey sometimes. They have to be kind of careful, but there are some wonderful places to visit and learn more about the culture there.
Yeah, look, New Orleans was an up-and-comer on TripAdvisor's list for top spring destinations. And most people, again, they think about the music and the food and the nightlife, but I'm telling you, this can be a really great family destination. There's so much history here. One of the top things that people come to New Orleans for is the National World War II Museum. So if you are a history buff, this is an absolutely must-do while you're in New Orleans. You also have the New Orleans Jazz Museum, which is a fantastic way to learn about the heritage of jazz and the music in New Orleans. And what I love about New Orleans are the walking tours. This to me is one of the best ways to really experience the city and learn the history. I mean, you have food walking tours. There's of course the historic French Quarter walking tours, but also fun ones things that my kids like, the ghost tours and the cemetery tours, where surprisingly you can learn a lot of history about the city there. But I should also mention, even for smaller families with smaller kids, there's so much here. You have the Audubon Zoo, you have the aquarium and insectarium right in town, the Louisiana Children's Museum. So you might be surprised by a lot of the educational opportunities outside of the French Quarter area.
And for the gastronomes who love French cooking classes, a great way to learn that Creole Cajun cooking.
Yes.
All right, quickly moving on to Orlando, not just for Disney World, but there are other places to visit there.
And I wanted to include Orlando on here because it's the #1 booked spring destination on TripAdvisor, and it's a big summer destination we know as well. So a lot of people are already going there. And I always recommend that people, we're going to do the theme parks, but also think about what there is and learn about what there is outside of the theme parks, because Orlando really has so much to offer, more than they did, say, 10 or 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Of course, you have the Kennedy Space Center in Port Canaveral. That is well worth a day trip. It is a 45-minute drive, and kids and adults alike will learn so much here. But there's also a lot of ecotourism in the Orlando area. So you have those airboat rides that you can take through wildlife
those are
areas.
So much fun.
There's also really great kayaking through some of the eco preserves here. So if you do some tours where they're led by experts, that can be a really fun way to learn about the local ecosystem.
Absolutely. And a great art scene as well. So there really is something for everybody. Jeanenne, I want to thank you so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
We'll see you again soon.
Thanks.
We're back after this.